Hey, what's going on, guys? So in this video, we're going to create a development workflow to compile the latest features of JavaScript or ECMAScript down to browser runnable code. So basically ES5, which is the version of JavaScript that has been around forever and works in all browsers. All right, so this is not just to compile ES6 or ES2015, but also ES2016 and ES2017. Okay, so even features like Async await, we're going to be able to compile those down. And we're going to do that by using Webpack along with Babel and a couple different presets. Not only that, but I'm also going to show you how to set up webpack-dev-server so that you can have a server environment that you can work in, so you don't have to keep compiling down, loading your application, and so on. It'll just constantly load in the browser every time you save your file. Alright, so you're going to learn quite a bit in this video when it comes to Webpack and Babel. Okay, so let's get started. This video is sponsored by GPD Host. They offer a variety of affordable hosting plans with flexible billing cycles. These plans include a free SSL certificate, a free domain name, website builder, and many other services, including free website migration with no downtime. To find out more, visit gpdhost.com or click the link in the description below. Alright guys, so very quick intro on Webpack. I do have a crash course on my channel if you're interested in that. But basically it's used to take modules with dependencies and generate static assets from them. Okay, that way we can build stuff with modules, either custom that we build ourselves or stuff that we install from NPM, and we can compile it down to code that can run in the browser. Alright, so Webpack is an amazing technology. It's what runs behind things like the Angular CLI, the Create React App CLI. It compiles everything from those frameworks and its dependencies down to static assets that can run in a browser. Okay, so it allows us to have really intricate front-end frameworks that can run without a back-end server. Webpack uses presets that can add extra functionality. For example, there's a React preset to compile React code. There's also presets for Babel such as ES2015, 2016, 2017. But what we're going to use is a preset called Babel Env or ENV, and I'll get into that in a few minutes. But that's the gist of what Webpack is. All right, so now on to Babel. Babel is a compiler that will take features from the latest versions of JavaScript or ECMAScript and bring them down to ES5. So real quick, if we go up to try it out, then this is babeljs.io/REPL or REPL. Now here, what we can do is put ES6 plus code here, and it'll get compiled over here to ES5, so you can actually see the conversion and what that looks like. So for instance, if we were to use let, which is a way of declaring a block scope variable, and this is part of ES6 or ES2015, not available in ES5. If we were to create a variable here and just set it to 1, 2, 3, on this side you'll see the ES5 version of this, which uses var. Okay, var has been around since the beginning of JavaScript. Let is not part of ES5, so that's why it's being converted. All right, now if we want to use like an arrow function here, so if we want to go console.log and just say 1, 2, 3, on this side you'll see not only did it change let to var, but it also changed the arrow function to just a standard function here that returns the console log. Now when we set up Webpack with Babel, we're going to need to use a preset, okay? And presets are basically plugins, and they have plugins or presets for ES2015, which will compile down ES2015 or ES6, ES2016, 2017, and then they had this one called Latest, which basically took all three of these together so that you could compile down anything from any of these. But that's been deprecated in favor of env or env, which is this right here. So this is what we'll be using. And this is very powerful because you can target certain browsers, certain versions. You can target certain features that you want to use. But we're just going to use just a standard preset, no configuration, nothing like that. But that's what we'll be using. All right, we're also going to need to use something called a polyfill, which I'll explain later on. All right, so enough of the Babel, no pun intended, And we're going to create a new folder here called Babel _Webpack _starter. All right, so we're going to open this with Visual Studio Code or whatever text editor you're using. And let's go ahead and open up a terminal. Now I'm going to be using my integrated terminal with VS Code. So if you want to do that, you can go to View Integrated Terminal, or you can do Control tilde and you can toggle it that way. I also have Git Bash integrated with the terminal. So first thing we're going to do is run npm init because we want a package.json file. Now, if you've never worked with Webpack before, you're probably wondering, saying, what are we building, a Node.js application? Why are we doing, why are we creating a package.json file? Well, that's what Webpack does. It allows you to use npm modules or your own modules, and it compiles them down to static assets so that you can run it in the browser. You don't need a Node server to run. That's the beauty of Webpack. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to create a simple package.json file real quick, and let's open that up. Okay, we need to install a few dependencies here, a few modules. So let's say npm install, and these should all be dev dependencies. So we want to do --save-dev. All right, we're going to want to install Webpack. We also want something called webpack-dev-server. We want Babel core. We want the Babel loader for Webpack. And we want the env preset, so that's babel-preset-env. Okay, I think that's everything for now. So let's run that. All right, so now what we want to do is create a config file for Webpack. So we're going to go ahead and say new file, and let's call this webpack.config.js. Okay, actually before we do that, I just want to add a script in package.json. Now, a lot of tutorials will tell you to actually install Webpack globally. You do not have to do that. What you want to do is create a script here. I'm going to call it build, and then just set that to Webpack, like that. All right, we're going to save that, and that way when we're ready to compile our JavaScript, we can just say npm run build, and that'll compile it down. Okay, now this config file is where we're going to define the source folder or the source application, the source file that we're going to use, and then the output. Okay, where do we want it to output into ES5? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in a module called path, which is actually a core module, so we didn't have to install it or anything. And if you've used Node.js before, you've probably used path. It's just for manipulating file paths and things like that. So then we're going to just do module.exports and set this to an object, and then this is where we define our entry point. So this is going to be an object, and we want to say app, and then in here is where we want to tell it which file we want to use to basically be our source file. So I want to have a folder called source, or src, and then a file called app.js. Okay, so that's going to be the entry point to our application. Now what we want to do is put a comma here. We want to put the output. Okay, remember, we're having our app.js file, which will have ES6, ES7, all that stuff, all the new JavaScript features, and then it's going to be compiled down to ES5, and that's where this output is going to be. Okay, so we want to specify a path, and we're just going to say path.resolve. We're going to use that path module, and we're going to define _dir name, which just means the current directory, and then a folder called build. Okay, and you can call this whatever you want. I like to call it build. Some people like to call it dist or output. You can call it whatever you want, but we're going to call it build. So that's where our compiled JavaScript will go. Now it needs a file name as well, so since it's going to be the app.js as well as any modules that we create and we import into app.js, it's basically going to be a bundle of JavaScript. So it's often called app or something like app.bundle.js or just bundle.js. Whatever you want to call it is fine. But that's what we're going to call it. So the next thing we want to define here is module. And this is where we define our loaders. So we want to say loaders. And remember we installed that Babel loader. That's what we're going to put here. So this needs to be an array. We're going to put in an object here. Now, the first thing we're going to have is test, which is going to be a regular expression. Okay, so we're going to use 2 slashes. That's how we define a regular expression literal. And we're just going to say that we want to look at all JavaScript files, all .js files. So I'm going to put in a backslash, which is an escape character, and then a dot. So that means that I want this dot to be taken literally, not as a meta character. Okay, the escape is making it so it's a literal dot. Then JS, and then question mark, which makes it optional, and then the money sign, which means it's the end. Okay, so it's the end, any .js file. All right, and then the next thing we want is to put in exclude, because we want to exclude the node modules folder. Okay, we don't want to do anything with any node modules folder. And then we want to define the loader itself, which is going to be Babel loader. Okay, remember we installed that with npm. And then we just want query, and in query, which is an object, this is where we define our presets. Okay, and presets is going to be an array, and for now we're just going to put in env. That's the preset that we want to use. So that's it. That's our entire config file for now. So not too hard to understand. We have an entry point for our ES6 and ES7 and whatever else we want to write. We can use modules. We can use whatever we want from any standard, and then it's going to be output into build/app.bundle.js, and that's the file we want to include in our HTML. Okay, and then we just have our Babel loader as our module here, as our loader. So let's save that, and then let's create a new folder called source. Okay, because remember we're going to look in source and then we're going to look for app.js, so we're going to create that. And for now what I'm going to do is just put in some, I'll do the same thing I did in the REPL. I'll just do test equals 1 2 3. Actually, we'll just set it to an arrow. Can't type. Console.log 1 2 3 and save. All right, so what I want to do now is compile this. So if we look in package.json, we created our build script here, so we should be able to run this. So let's open up our terminal. We'll clear it out. We'll say npm run build. All right, so no red, so no errors. Everything should have went all right. So up here, if we look, we have a build folder now. Creates automatically. We don't have to create it. And then an app.bundle.js. Now there's going to be a bunch of crap in here that doesn't matter to us. What we do want to look at, if we keep scrolling, is this right here. Okay, so this is the code that we wrote compiled. So you can see that it used var instead of let, and it used a regular function instead of an arrow function. So this ES6 got compiled down to this ES5. So this is going to work in all browsers. All right, so this is what we want to include in our HTML. So what I'm going to do is create an HTML file in the root here called index.html. And I'm just going to put some basic head body tags with Emmet. The title, I'm just going to say my JavaScript app. We'll just put an H1 here. All right, and then we want to go down here and include a script with the source of /, meaning we want to look in the current directory for build, and then app.bundle .js. Okay, so that's going to look at our compiled file. That's what it's going to load. So we'll save that. And now let's go to app.js and let's just call test. Okay, so we'll save that, and then we're going to recompile. So npm run build. And then let's go and open up our index file. And let's hit F12, and we get 1, 2, 3. All right. So it's actually compiling and it's loading into this HTML file. And if we look at our source code, and click on this app bundle, you'll see our compiled ES5 code. All right, so that's how it works. Now, keeping it like this is going to be kind of a pain in the ass, because every time you make a change, you're going to have to recompile. If we change this to from 1, 2, 3 to, let's say, hello, and save, and we open up our index.html again and look in the console, we still get 1, 2, 3. All right, in order for that to change, then we'd have to go back and we'd have to again run npm run build, compile it, and then reload, and then we get hello. So this is where webpack-dev-server comes in. So to do this is actually really easy. All we have to do is go to package.json, and we're going to add another script here. Okay, we're going to do a start script. That way we can just do npm start. All right, and then we want to set this to webpack-dev-server, and then we need to specify an output flag. Okay, so we're going to say output -public-path, and we want to set that equal to whatever our output path was, which is build. Okay, so we want to go like that, and then we'll go ahead and save this, and then go down here, and instead of running run build, let's do npm start. All right, so now you can see that this is actually started on port 8081. I believe it's 8080 by default, but I think I have something running on that already. So let's go ahead and open this up. Can I not open it up like that? I guess not. So let's go to localhost, port 8081, and there's our application. That favicon will go away if I reload, and it says hello. All right, so I'm just going to snap this to the side here. Now, this is going to continuously run and continuously watch our application. So if I go to app.js and I change this back to 1, 2, 3 and save, not only is it going to reload, it's also going to reload the browser for us, so we don't even have to do that. So webpack-dev-server is a really nice tool to have if you're working with Webpack. So the idea is to use that until you're ready to build, and then you do npm run build, you have your static assets, and you can upload to your server or whatever it is you're doing with your application. All right, so now let's take a look at one of the reasons why we're even doing this, and that's to use modules. So let's clear this out, and what I'm going to do is create in my source folder a new file called lib.js. Okay, and this is going to be a module. I want to export something from this and import it into app.js, which is something we cannot do just within regular JavaScript within the browser, at least yet. So what I'm going to do is say export, and then I'm going to create a variable called person, and I'm going to set this to an object literal, and just say name John Doe. Let's say location Miami, and age 30. All right, so we just have this person object and we're exporting it. Okay, exporting meaning that we're making it available to other files. So let's save this. Let's go back to app.js, and let's go ahead and say import, put some curly braces here, and say person from ./lib. Okay, we don't need the .js, just the file name, not the extension. And then we'll go down here and let's do alert. We'll say alert person.name and save, and that should reload and run, and we get John Doe. So this John Doe, this person.name, is coming from another file. So this is very, very powerful when building applications, and gives you a more of a a React or Angular type feel. You can build applications that seem like framework type applications rather than putting everything in one file or including a bunch of these script tags with a bunch of different files. So the modules system is very, very powerful. All right, and you can have other things. You can export other things here, like let's say we want to export a function. So we'll say export function, say hello. So we'll go like that. And let's say this takes in a name, and then we'll just return, and we'll use a template literal here. We'll just say hello name, like that. So we'll save, and then we can go back to our ads. That's going to reload every time we save. Maybe we should do a console log. And then what we can do is we're using destructuring here, and we can also pull out other things from this file, such as say hello. And then we'll go down here and we'll call say hello, and let's pass in a name. We'll just say Brad. Let's save, and down here, whoops, wait a minute, what did I do? Oh, since I just returned it here, we have to console log the function. So we'll save, and then we get John Doe, which comes from this line, and then hello Brad, which comes from this. And both of these are coming from our lib.js file here. All right, so that is modules. Now I want to take a look at a newer feature of ES2017, which is async await. All right, now I'm not going to go over the async await and really talk about it. I'm going to do that in a different video. We're also going to talk about that in the new Udemy course coming out. But it's just a better way to handle asynchronous operations. So what we can do is we can say async. We can label a function asynchronous, which makes it return a promise automatically. Let's say get posts. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is create a variable here called response, and then I'm going to set it equal to, I'm going to use fetch to get something from JSON placeholder, which is basically a fake REST API that we can use. I've used it in quite a few videos, but we can make requests to like this post URL right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say await fetch, and if you don't know what fetch is, it's a new standard in the browser to make HTTP requests, and it returns data as a promise. So since it returns as a promise, we're going to say await, and then we're going to pass in this URL like that, and then we're going to say right under it const data, and we can say equals await response.json, and then we can return that data. All right, why am I getting a error here? Oh, I don't have quotes in here. Okay, so that's our get post asynchronous function. Now to call this, since we called it async, then it's going to return a promise. So we say get posts, and with promises we use .then, and we'll pass in here posts, and then we'll just console.log posts. All right, so if we go ahead and save this and we let this run, we're going to get an error. So we get this regenerator runtime is not defined. And to fix this, we actually need to use the Babel Polyfill. All right, if I were to search this, let's see what we get if we search this error here. Right here, I'm trying to use async await with Babel 6. So right here, Babel Polyfill is required. You must use that in order to get... Why is this not responsive? Why is Stack Overflow not responsive? But you'll see that we need to install Babel Polyfill along with this Babel preset stage 0. And then down here, we need to add that to our Webpack config file. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go ahead and Control-C, stop this webpack-dev-server, and we're going to do npm install --save-dev, and we want to install Babel-Polyfill, as well as Babel shoot, what was it? I always forget this one. Babel preset stage -0. All right, so we'll install those two things. Now that by itself isn't going to work. We need to go to our Webpack config file, and from here we want to add onto the app in the entry. So I'm just going to go right above it, and we're just going to put in some quotes, and we're going to say Babel-Polyfill and then a comma. And then down here with our presets, we just want to include that stage 0 preset. All right, and that should do it. So let's save. Let's go back over here and let's run npm start. Let's have our page up here and run npm start. Okay, looks like we got an error. Unexpected token. Where is this? Let's see, what did I do wrong here? Babel Polyfill. Oh, I did this. I'm an idiot. This goes in here. So app, and then this should be an array. And we'll put that in there like that. Yeah, that should do it. So let's save that. Let's try it again, npm start. Okay, let's reload. And there we go. If we look down here, we're now fetching our post. So this is coming from right here, our async await get post function. We're returning a promise here, getting the posts, and we're logging them. So you can see that now this can be used, this Webpack Babel starter package can be used to compile down anything from ES2015, 16, and 17 to ES5. So it's something that you can continuously use, and hopefully you guys will use it. Now, as far as compiling, like let's say you just built an awesome application with modules, with async await and all that, all you got to do is now simply do npm run build, and then it builds it out into that app.bundle file. You have your index.html file, so you could simply, let's say this is your web server, you could just take the build and the index.html, go in there, open up your file, and let's open up our console, and we have our posts. Okay, and we're using, it's all compiled down to this one file. And you could have 30 different modules, it would still all compile down to that one file. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and that's it. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, I just want to mention our sponsor, GPD Host. So if you're looking for affordable, fast, and quality cPanel hosting, look no further. They offer many types of packages that include a free domain name, free SSL certificate, a website builder, and more. All hosting plans are completely managed and easy to work with. You also get automatic weekly backups. So whether you have a website to transfer or you're building it from scratch, GPD Host is a high-quality solution. To learn more, visit gpdhost.com or click the link in the description below.